Yoga of words, associative thinking. I think. Words come to mind. We found that we can attend to, be aware of a word or a few words that appear in our minds. When you're reading, squiggly language tokens, written words, speak other people's words into your mind. When you're listening, complex sound tokens, words, speak other people's words into your mind. When you're dialoguing, talking to others, other people's words overwhelmingly control and constrain what you're hearing in your mind's ear. Other people's thoughts speak in your mind via oral language tokens. Associative thinking happens when the mind is free, relatively untrammeled, not heavily constrained by others. Associative thinking happens when the mind meanders, uncoerced by the environment. Associations, one series of thoughts triggering other words, are entrained, constrained, coerced externally by the environment. Conversations, billboards, screens, books. Associations are triggered internally by words, phrases, bringing up and bringing along related words. The laws of association are early clan, mommy, daddy, implanted automatons. Now we're going to listen to our everyday thoughts. Stand or sit quietly by yourself in a non-stim environment. Center yourself in simple bodily awareness and calm your mind. Be aware of extraneous, peripheral, and argumentative thoughts that might disallow you from observing your mind. You can close your eyes for a bit to avoid distractions and center yourself in your body. Pay attention to each thing that I say. For 2 minutes, listen for words that speak themselves to you. When external stimuli or our unending internal one-sided dialogue are shut out, at first there's a silence. Then, after some seconds, words or sentence fragments or seemingly whole sentences speak themselves in our inner amphitheater of cogitation. We hear a thought with our inner ear. Begin now. Stop now. Can you remember 2 minutes of spontaneous inner speech? What was the first thought sentence fragment? Why did that thought arise? Take a guess at why this train of thought bubbled up. What were the next sentences, ideas, thoughts? Associative thinking is words, phrases, sentence fragments that appear in our mind's ear that happen to us when outside constraining stimuli are absent. In everyday life, Emotion, anxiety, desire, needs, constrain and control associative thinking massively. Emotion controls thinking from the inside. We'll see this. But without emotion, directing, constraining attention, associative thinking prevails in us. Again with your eyes closed. This time, force yourself to be aware of, awake to the process of words appearing, bubbling up, speaking themselves. Listen to them as if listening to someone else speaking to you in your very own mind. Begin now. Stop now. Associative thinking, random thoughts. I hear loosely jointed fragments of sentences, analogous and metaphorical associated words that materialize in my mind. It's what my mind does when it's not interrupted, not directed by something. If unpressured, unstressed, this species of thought is at times themed, but highly free associative, chunked in groups of loosely connected themes or memes. Often untrammeled, scatological, but most often driven loosely by largely unnoticed, not necessarily named, organismic needs such as hunger, sexuality, sociability, safety, etc. When I close my eyes, the usual constraining, attention-directing influence of the visual is absent. Can you find yourself papering pen or pencil? Or use the dictation feature of your phone. Now, for 2 more minutes, you're going to listen for words that speak themselves to you. And you're going to write them down or record them. Hear a thought with your inner ear. Write it down. Pay attention to what arena of your life the thoughts relate to, and write that down. Then close your eyes, center yourself, quiet any extraneous thinking, and listen again. Note it, write it down, rinse and repeat. Begin now. Stop now. Things to be aware of. Varieties of positive feelings inhabit us during associative thinking. likes, desires, needs, wish fulfillment images, social sexual attractions, egoistic fulfillments of everyday situations, etc., throw up sentences, images, fragments. Most associative inner speech gravitates around the everyday experiences, needs, fantasies of my everyday life. Varieties of negative feelings also inhabit us during associative thinking. Angry, critical thoughts about ourselves or others, retaliatory images and or thought snippets, anxious words or images surface constantly, especially if I have recently had my feelings hurt. When active in my usual environments, every kind of stimuli will snag or channel thought. This kind of thought very often orbits the constant, if everyday prosaic, prediction of what comes next. I better get going. I gotta meet her at 6. Gotta pick up wine. Biology next. Then I'll get a bite to eat at the cafeteria. Tom's a pain in my ass. I'm going to avoid him. For many of us, small anxieties impulse associative thoughts of 1,000 varieties. I wonder what Johnny's up to. There's not much traffic today. He'll be okay. Gotta get to the mall. Tuesday's extra point day. She'll be mad if I'm late. Dr. Phil said couples have to spend at least a couple of hours together. Jim and I are a bit off in our own worlds these days. Maybe out for a walk. A train of thought rambles through my mind. That stop sign is defaced by that graffiti. June's car was wrecked by someone splashing paint all over it. Damn arsonists, graffitiists think they're funny. When was that? 2 years ago. Yeah, just when Sarah broke up with me. Should have splashed her damn car, screwing Billy even though we were still together. Maybe June and I will work out. I ain't getting much younger. Humans, each of us are word processing primates. Humans, each of us are word processing primates. We'll see this again and again. Thousands of thoughts, word strings, go through our minds hourly, and we're not conscious of them. They happen in our minds and are forgotten immediately. Associated words loop. Associated words loop. That is, the same series of words, the same chunk of thought feeling repeats itself over and over. Society, culture, the clan implants words and the language automaton that cause words to appear in every person's mind's ear every few seconds of every moment of every hour of every day of our lives. Words, sentences, thoughts happen in us. For 2 more minutes, you're going to listen for words that speak themselves to you. Again, you will hear a thought with your inner ear and pay attention to what arena of your life the thought relates to. Listen to the voice in your head. Try and feel something you never feel. Feel who is speaking. The words are appearing according to some mysterious algorithm or association. Who is speaking in your mind? Feel the one-sided dialogue and try and pay attention to every aspect of that voice. Who is the voice? And at the same time, over the 2 or 3 minutes, feel the other part of the equation that is never felt. Who is this speaker voice speaking to? One-sided dialogue feels like a voice in the head speaking to an unnamed and unspecified audience. 2 minutes. Start now. Stop now. We're doing something different. We've started from a place of intentionally paying attention, sensitive attention, to very simple words, phrases. We're attempting to experience thinking as thinking. We're not lost in a sentence or thought, not identifying with what we're thinking, not examining meaning or content. And we're trying not to mechanically and unconsciously go from one thought to the next. We're just holding attention to words, phrases happening in our minds, in our very own noggins. Usually we go from sentence to sentence without any awareness of connections between thoughts or outside stimuli, and without awareness of constantly changing topics, points of view, types of thought. Usually we get lost in what we see, we get lost in what we hear, we get lost in what we feel in our bodies and the thoughts that happen in our minds, and we are not aware of them as they're happening. I'm constantly, almost always, talking to myself in a form of one-sided dialogue with an observer who is also me. Thinking happens in me. I can't plan or control which words speak in my mind. I don't and can't plan or control which words bubble up, which words speak in my mind. I seldom consciously hold on to, explicitly recognize, pay attention to streams of thought. I almost never direct my thought onto specific topics, people, experiences. Hundreds of thousands of thoughts, words, sentences go through my mind every day. I don't remember specific word patterns or sentences that go through my mind. I don't remember which train of thought led to another train of thought. I usually don't know why I thought about one thing or another, although when we explore feeling and thought, we'll gain much knowledge. Now we're going to listen to our everyday thoughts again. Again, have a pencil and paper available or have a phone recorder note program ready to use. We're going to begin being aware of themes of associative thinking. We're going to navigate a simple everyday environment and try very hard to listen to our thoughts. It'll be hard. We never do this. We're almost never awake to the thoughts going through our noggins while we're busy, while we're moving, while we're engaged. Thoughts do themselves in all the stimulating environments that we inhabit. We're going outside in a complex environment. We're going for a walk. Be quiet with yourself if you can in a non-stimulating environment to begin with. Set your phone timer for 30 seconds. You're going to go outside for about 10 minutes. On this walk, you're going to listen for words that speak themselves to you. Set your timer, leave your room, go out into your neighborhood, being aware of the challenges of attending to thoughts in complicated or stimulating environments. Walk, listening to your thoughts. Simply turn your attention to what's bubbling up in your mind. When the timer goes off, remember what thought just went through your mind. Write it down or record it. Reset the timer. Again, walk listening to your thoughts. Simply turn your attention to what's bubbling up in your mind. And if you happen to notice a theme, a relationship between thoughts, write that down too. Reset your timer. Rinse and repeat. What were you thinking about? What was in your mind? Write it or speak it into your recorder. Set the timer, resume your walk, simply attempting to pay attention to thoughts, even as the visual, auditory, geographical world changes rapidly. Do this at least 20 times. When you're back home, examine the things that you've noted. Okay, we're about to begin. Center yourself in your body now. Be quiet with yourself. Ready to get started? Begin now. Go for a walk. Stop now. What's on your mind? What themes flood through you? Did you think of something often? Did you very soon lose all ability to pay attention to your own thinking? Did you loop? Is something driving your thoughts? Do this exercise a few times. Prepare yourself well, calming your chattering brain as best you can. Experience how extraordinarily difficult it is to be awake or attendant to thoughts as they happen. Feel how thoughts go round and round, and the impossibility to quell or quench them, especially if driven by strong feeling primal needs. We imagine we know what we're thinking, but when we break habit and interrupt narrative, associative themes, and begin to find patterns, we become aware that there is a state of being where thoughts happen in our minds of their own rules, and that we only very rarely, sometimes via shock or everyday trauma, pay attention or remember what is going through our noggins. This is a core realization. This is a core realization. This is thinking. Do this exercise a few times. Prepare yourself well, calming your mind as best you can. Do it during a quiet bath. Do it in nature. Experience how extraordinarily difficult it is to be awake or attendant to thoughts as they happen. Experience how extraordinarily difficult, impossible, it is to do when with people. Set aside time to watch yourself explore your own everyday associative thinking processes. Many can't, in the beginning, find any separation between themselves and their thoughts. They identify completely with what they are thinking. A few can't even conceive of how to listen, how to attend to thoughts, to words in their heads. And it can be rather uncomfortable, feeling our own thinking automaton. Later, we'll explore how the visual drives thought associations, how emotions bludgeon us with feeling encoded and attached thinking, how books and screens and dialogue play through us all day long.